Hello friends, welcome back. In this session, I'll be talking about Jenkins pipeline, which is declarative pipeline. In my last video, I talked about Jenkins pipeline, which is quite old style, where we are just adding the dependencies of one job over other job. If we have created number of jobs and if we want to interlink those jobs based on some status, let us say if I want to run my second job only if my first job is completed and if it is stable, or irrespective if it is stable or unstable, I want to run. Like if I want to if I want to interlink multiple jobs based on certain condition, or even without condition, then I can do that, and it is called as pipeline. Okay, pipeline is nothing but it is a set of activities, set of interlinked activities, set of interlinked jobs. Now today this is what I'm going to talk: Jenkins declarative pipeline. Okay, so let me start. First, let us start with installing pipeline plugin. Okay, so let me go to my Jenkins, let me go to manage Jenkins, and let me check if I have already installed it. Let us go to manage plugins, and let me go to installed, and let me check if pipeline. Okay, so you can see this is the plugin which I wanted, pipeline plugin. Okay, so since I already have installed it, I'm not going to install it. Okay, but if it is not installed in your Jenkins, then what you can do is you can just go to available and just search for pipeline over here and just directly install it. Okay, that's not a big deal. Second thing, create pipeline job. Once you are done with installation of pipeline plugin, let us go back to Jenkins and create new item. Okay, and let me name the item as dummy pipeline. Okay, and once your plugin is installed, you should see this pipeline option over here. Okay, so I'll just select pipeline. Okay, so here we have couple of options. Okay, so the general option, here you can add description. I'll just say add pipeline description here. Fine, and then you have some option based on, like, based on your requirement. You can select if this is parameterized project, like if you're giving the input before you trigger build, you can select this is parameterized project. Then how your build should be triggered. Do you want to trigger it manually, periodically, or based on some other project, or remotely, or do you want to do trigger the build once the comment is added in Jira, something like that. Okay, so we have many options for build trigger. Okay, so I'm not going with that. Okay, so I'll directly switch to pipeline. Okay, so here you can find pipeline. Okay, and in pipeline definition you can find two things: pipeline scripts and pipeline script from SCM. Okay, SCM is your source code management tool. So if you have created a Jenkins file, like whatever script I'm going to here write here, if that particular script is written in some file called a Jenkins file, and if it is stored in your source code management, let us say on GitHub, then what you can do is you can just use this and give the let us say I'll select git, and you can give the git credentials and your file name over here, and you can simply apply, and okay, that file will be picked. All your code for your uh, Jenkins pipeline will picked up from that Jenkins file, and your pipeline will get executed. Okay, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a script here itself. Okay, so now how to create a script. Okay, or before how to create a script, let us see what I want to do is. Okay, so the very first thing I want to do is pull code from git. Okay, and this is for my, let us say, API test project, because my code is in both different project. Okay, and then execute API test. This is my second test, second step. My third step is again pull code from git, which is for my, let us say, system integration tests. Okay, and my next step is do code analysis. Next step is again execute system integration test. Next my step is send email. Okay, let us say I have chain of these steps. Okay, so in actual CICD, if you're talking about complete continuous integration, continuous deployment or delivery, whatever, these steps are just a block of like all these steps creates one step only, like if you talks about complete CICD. But this is just a part of continuous integration. What I'm talking about, it is just a part of continuous integration. What I'm doing is I'm integrating the like once the developer check-ins, I'm okay, let us say here in build trigger we have some option called as github hook trigger for SCM polling. Okay, so let us say if you want to do something like or poll SCM. Okay, so if you want to do something like once my developer check in his code, I want to perform all these activities. Okay, so what you can do is you can just uh, check in like check this code github hook. As soon as your developer push his code on his GitHub repository, you need to hook add the hook in his git repository for your this Jenkins URL. Once it is done, as soon as he check ins his code in his git repository, because the dependency is added over here, you checked in here, this particular pipeline will get triggered. Okay, and once your pipeline is triggered, your test execution will start step by step. First it will execute API test, then it will execute your SIT test. Prior to that it will do your code analysis, whatever steps you have, right? So this is just a sample thing what I am showing you, but it all depends case to case. Okay, how you want to design, how you want to implement based on your organization, based on your requirements. Okay, so these are my aims. Okay, my aim is to pull the code, execute, pull the code analysis, execute, and send email. Okay, these are my steps. Now how to begin. Now I want to write a script. Okay, so how to begin. So if you scroll down little bit, here you find something called as pipeline syntax. Okay, so I just clicked on this pipeline syntax and I'll tell you why I need this. Okay, so before that you can just go to this online documentation. Okay, you can just go to the online documentation, all the details are present over here, like what and all is going to happen and all. Okay, so let me tell you. Okay, so what is my step 1? My step 1 is pull the code. Okay, so before I start writing your actual code, let me talk about some pipeline concepts like node, stage, and steps. Okay, so what is meant by node? Node is nothing but the machine on which the Jenkins run. Okay, it is just like your in Selenium grid we have something called as hub and node concept. So node is nothing but the machine on which your Jenkins runs. Then we have something called as stage. So we'll be using all these steps in our pipeline. So stage is nothing but a stage, it is a container which contains a series of steps in a pipeline. Okay, so for example, build, test, and deploy processes. So likewise, based on your need, whatever stages you have. Okay, so let us say this is my stage, this is my stage, this is my stage. Okay, once I start writing the code, you will better understand. Okay, so let me start adding various stages. Okay, so my first stage is pull code. Sorry, pull code from source code management. So this is my first step. Okay, so how to begin now? How to begin? Okay, so to write your first step, okay, so the very first thing we should write node. Okay, and if you are using any node, let me zoom this little bit. Okay, so if you have some constraint like I want to execute on this node only, then you can give some node name over here. Okay, you can give some node name here. But if you do not have any constraint like that, I'll just remove this and I'll simply give the node. Okay, so within node what we have different stages. Okay, so what is my stage? My first stage is, so in stage I need to give the name of stage. What is my stage name? So what is my first stage? My first stage is pull the code from Git for API test automation. Okay, so I'll write some name over here. So code management check SCM checkout for API tests. Okay, so this is my stage. Okay, and I'll let you know where this name will appear. Now what are the contents of your stage? Okay, so the actual stage, what this specific stage will do. I have one node. In the node I will have various stages. My first stage is get the code from GitHub repository, which is my source code management. Okay, and here I asked you to click on this pipeline syntax. Okay, so I'm here, pipeline syntax. Okay, so in pipeline syntax you can find various things uh, it is a syntax generator. Okay, it is syntax generator for your Jenkins pipeline. Okay, so what I want to deal is with now, I want to deal with Git. Okay, and what is my GitHub repository? My GitHub repository, let me get it. Okay, so in GitHub repository you need to enter the repository URL, branch, and then your credentials. Okay, I'll just select my credentials. Let my GitHub open. Okay, and once you click on this generate pipeline script, it will generate a pipeline script for you. Okay, let me add the URL. Till now I didn't added URL. What is taking this much time? Okay, so I want this API test project. Let me get the URL from here. Okay, let me paste my URL and let me generate the syntax again. Okay, so this is my script. Okay, so what this script will do, I should add this script here within my stage. Okay, so what this particular stage will do, it will just check out the GitHub code. Okay, for from the specific repository. Okay, and these are my credentials. Okay, so these credentials are from Jenkins itself. Okay, so in Jenkins I had added my credentials, and from there itself, by using this specific ID, it is pulling those credentials. Okay, now I'll just have this much only as of now. I'll just click on apply and save. Okay, and let me click on build now. You can see something stage view over here, where you will find different stages. Okay, my first stage is SCM checkout for API test. Then if you have second stage, it will appear over here, third stage, likewise. So you can see stage wise. Okay, and you can see the status is successful. Okay, success. Fine, now let me go and configure again. Let me add my next steps. So what is my next step? My next step is API test execution. Okay, how to execute the test cases now. Okay, so I should add stage again. So my stage, and I will give stage name. Okay, so my stage name will be API test execution. Okay, and how I can execute the test cases, I can just give the command. What is my command? Okay, so let us go to the syntax generator again. Okay, and here let us see if we see anything for test execution, or what I need to do is I need to execute my maven command. Okay, so I'll just give my batch script, which is mvn clean test. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to just run the command mvn clean test. Since this is my maven project, I need to trigger it with mvn and clean test. Okay, so this is my script. Okay, so if you go to my, like, if you have observed my earlier jobs which were independent, in that I have just given my goal as test or clean test. Okay, so since I am triggering here externally, so I need to give this mvn. Okay, so it will understand it's a maven project and it will uh, perform based on this goals. Okay, so this is the command which I need to use now. Batch, bat for batch. If it is a linux, then it will be sh for shell. Since this is my batch command, this is my stage. Or if you want to add any message, okay, what you can do is you can add like echo and api test execution is about to start, something like that. You can add the messages based on what you need. Okay, so I'm done. Next, so I'm done with my api test execution. I'm done with pulling the code from github, then executing my api test. What is my next step? Next step is pull the code from git for my sit test. Okay, so I'll be using same stage again. Okay, I'll just change the repository url. Okay, and scm checkout for, let me call it as my sit test. Okay, and let me get the demo project 1 url. Okay, let me copy this in my notepad. It's better for me to edit. Okay, so scm checkout for api test, then api test execution, and then here I need to add the url. Let me get this url. Let me replace this url. My credentials will remain same. Okay, so now I have done with the checkout for my uh, I'll name this as my sit test. Okay, and what next? I'm done with checkout as well. Now what I want to do is I want to do the Sonar cube analysis. I want to do the code analysis. So I should add another stage. Okay, and that stage would be, I'll name it as sit code analysis by Sonar cube, or I'll simply call as Sonar. Okay, so here this is my stage, and within stage I will be adding some steps. Okay, so what are the steps? In this particular stage, what I want to do is I want to do the code scanning. Okay, so how to do? Let us go to our syntax generator. Let us find something called Sonar. So you can see, you can find very much things, like if you want to get the current directory, if you want to read a file from your workspace, if you want to do the parallel things, let us say if you want to do the parallel test execution, you can find syntax for everything over here, right? If you're not finding the syntaxes over here, just go to the online documentation. You should find whatever features they have. Okay, so here what I want to do is, let me find out again if I get Sonar. this one. Okay, no issues. What I'll do is I'll let you know how we can do that. The very first thing what I need my tool. Okay, I need to give the like location of my sonar. Okay, so this is my first step. Okay, and what is my second step? My second step is, what I want to do is I want to execute batch command. Right, I want to execute batch command which will trigger sonar. Okay, so these are the two things which I need to do here. Okay, so now how to find out the location of sonar? Okay, so find out location of my sonar. So if I go here, and you can find something for tool. Okay, so tool, use a tool from predefined tool installation. So just select what tool. So this will give you the list of all installed tools. So my tool is Sonar Cube and my tool is Sonar. Just I can generate the script here. Okay, let me copy this. So what it is doing is it is giving you the tool whose name is Sonar and type is this one. Okay, so this will give me the location of my sonar. Okay, now I want to pass this location in my batch command. Okay, so what I can do is I can store the name in some variable. So how can define a variable in Groovy script? By using def definition, def. Okay, and I will give some name, let us say scanner home. Okay, and I will store it in it. Okay, so you can create a local variable, global variable based on your requirement. If you want to create a global variable, you can create here before any stages, so that you can refer it across the stages. But I want this to be local because I want this scanner home only for this particular stage. Okay, now I got this scanner home. Okay, now what I want to execute Windows batch command. Okay, for triggering sonar. Okay, so where my sonar is. Okay, so my sonar is present at this specific folder. This is my directory. Okay, this is my tool directory. So within this tool directory, it is present in bin folder. You can verify it from your end, and sonar scanner. Okay, so this is the location where my sonar scanner will be present. Okay, so but see, this is my variable name, and how we can access the variable name over here? You need to give dollar and braces. So this is how you can access the data from this definitions, from this variables. Okay, and then what you can do is you can give some command to execute. Okay, so to execute, and now what I want to do is I want to give all the parameters. Okay, so what are my parameters? Okay, so if you remember, if let me open my Jenkins again, let me open another instance. If you go to one of my job, let me configure. Where we have done this sonar analysis. Okay, we have done this Sonar Cube analysis. Okay, so here we have added some properties. Okay, so we need to give all those properties here as a parameters. Okay, so how to do that? So let me just copy this. What you can do is you can just copy this and paste it somewhere, and you can just append -d. Okay, so that it will understand it is the parameter to your scanner, sonar scanner. Okay, so you can do this for all. Okay, so I guess I have already done this. Here it is. Okay, so let me add this. So what I have done is I have this sonar scanner home I got from this tools. Then I have this location where my sonar scanner is, and then I am passing all the parameters, all the properties which we saw last time. Okay, space separated with -d as a preceding. Okay, so is there anything wrong? Let me just have a look. Okay, so this should not be equal, this should be hyphen. Okay, so this is what I wanted. Okay, so I'm done. Okay, now what is this? This is my batch command. So what I need to give? Bat, B-A-T. Okay, and I need to give the quotes. Okay, so let me, okay, but since you have dollar over here, we need to use double quote here. So for this bad use, you can see I have used single quote, but if you are using, you are referencing any variable, it will work only with double quote. So this is my stage which is done. Now I am done with my sonar. What next? My test execution. So let me just copy this tape. Let me rename this to SIT test execution. I'll simply echo SIT test execution is about to start, and my batch command will remain same. Okay, I want to do the same thing. Okay, and what next I want to do? I want to send the email. Okay, so how to send the email now? My last step. Okay, so let us go to our syntax generator, and here you can find something called email. Let us see. Okay, so here you can find email extended email plugin. Okay, so here you can give all the details, like to whom you want to send the email. Let us say I want to send the email to me. And if you go to advanced, you can find few other details. So what should be your subject? Okay, so my subject I can give any, but let me copy the subject and all the things from my, okay, let me open my another job where I have configured this extended email plugin. Okay, so let me copy from here. So I explained all the things from here. Okay, so what should be my subject? My subject should be build status, project name, and build number. Let me enter the same things over here. This should be my subject. What should be my body? My body should be this one. Okay, and you need to remove this breaks. It will not work in this case. Let me remove this. What next I have? I have attachment patterns. So what is my attachment patterns? It is HTML reports. I want to attach build log as well. I want to compress the build log before it is sent. Okay, so that's it. If you want to have any pre-send or post-send script, you can do that as well. Generate pipeline script. So this is my pipeline script. Now I will just copy and paste this. Okay, so what is my next stage? My next stage is stage. So I'm just mentioning the stage as email. Okay, but you can have this as a combination, like post build action, post build actions. Okay, and in post build actions I'll be sending the email. Okay, and I can simply copy and paste this script. Okay, what else? I think that's pretty much. Let me just copy this and add it over here. Okay, let me just apply and save. Okay, let me build now. You can see the job run is started, and you can see step by step. SCM checkout for API test is completed. It is success. API test execution, it is in progress. Okay, it is also success. You can see the log success. Then SCM checkout for SIT test is in progress. It is also completed, and you can see the next step, SIT code analysis by Sonar. It's in the process. So you can see all the things are pipelined. They are like appearing one by one. They are getting executed one after another, right? So in my last video I have shown you like how you can add these dependencies one after another, right, through job. But this is the easy way, like you can add number of dependencies with number of configurations, number of what I guess you can even use the concept of looping and all. Let us say if you want to add dependencies, like if you want to do this code analysis only if this API execution is successful, something like that. Okay, so you can add those dependencies as stage level as well. So my analysis is successful and my SIT test execution is in progress. Let me start my Jenkins server. Sorry, Jira server. So my SIT test execution is again in progress. Let us wait. Where my SIT test execution is happening, it is happening on Docker. So that's the reason why I'm not seeing the UI. Okay, so here you can see test 1 is executed, test 2 is executed, test 3 is executed, and you can see all the logs, like what and all things has happened over here, right? You can see that. Also, let me open my email if I get email, which is my post build action. No, not yet. Since this particular test 3 is failed, like it is title mismatch, so maybe it is waiting for that. Let us wait. Okay, it is failed. It is failed, and I don't see the last step is executed. Okay, it is because this specific stage itself is failed. That's the reason my post build action stage is not executed. This particular stage is not executed. Okay, but now what I want to do is I want to execute this stage. So what you can do is you can use something called as post and always, but instead of that what I'll be using is I can use try catch. Okay, so what I'll do is I will just try this specific test execution, SIT test execution. So I'm adding it to here, but you can add it based on your requirement. You can configure based on your need, how you want it. Okay, so I'm just giving it try my SIT test execution, and I will not add any catch block. I will add finally block, so that it will execute always. Finally execute this. Okay, so now what will happen is everything will execute. It will come to SIT test execution. Even though if it is failure, it will go in finally block and it will execute. Let me just copy and paste, and let me change my script over here. Let me apply. Sorry, something is wrong. Am I missing any parenthesis? Okay, sorry. Okay, now in this case it should execute all the steps. Even though my SIT test execution will fail because of that one test case failure, it will execute my post build actions. You can add any kind of post build actions, like maybe your deployment or maybe your again UAT executions, and anything. It can be anything. Here what I'm showing is just how you can add the stages one after another. Okay, now my SIT execution is started. And as I said, execution is happening on Docker, so you will not see any UI. Let this pipeline execution is finished. I just want to check if it is doing my post build actions, because I have added this try finally block. Okay, you can see that SIT test execution is failed. Okay, it is failed due to some reason, because of that one test is failed, and after that it has executed the post build action, okay, in which I did send a email. Okay, and for this build number 3, let me check if I get an email. Let me refresh. Okay, see, can you see I got an email for build number 3. Here it is. Okay, so this is my build, and I got this attachments as well. Okay, so and here on the his desktop stage view, you can see all the sequence of all the steps, the time taken, and the status for all, right? So this is how you can configure your Jenkins pipeline. Okay, so what I have shown you is they are the sample stages. Okay, the stages can be as per your requirement. Okay, so these are just the sample stages which I wanted to show you. Okay, so that's it I have for this Jenkins pipeline tutorial. uh, Fine. So for any documentation, or if you want to generate any script, this script generator is the best tool. You can find many things over here. If it is not present over here, then you can go through this documentation. They have given quite good documentation. You can just refer the documentation and find what you want, right? Fine, so that's it for this session. Thank you.